Hi, welcome to the Pristine Above Par podcast. My new books are out and they detail my experience as an investigative journalist and what you need to know to beat false allegations in a criminal case. Know Your Case to Win Your Case gives you the most important info you need to win your case. This is going to detail discovery packages, which are the evidence that the state has against you. It gives you details about filing lawsuits against the parties who are violating your rights, and it tells you the deadlines for the important milestones in your case. The next installment is legal loopholes in criminal law. This breaks down what you need to put in your filings, the laws, the statutes, the cases that make your motion stick. It is full of templates that give you a step-by-step breakdown of what your motions need to contain so that you can stand in your authority. And then the Pro Se Guide to Success is a combination of both of these books. This is something you would need to invest in if you have numerous violations from law enforcement, the judicial system, and the prosecutors that are involved. It's also a perfect guidebook if you are being denied bond when you are eligible for that. So please go on to Amazon, order you a copy, make sure you leave a review, and thank you for supporting the podcast and supporting yourself and standing in your authority. In 2021, Vanessa Taylor was falsely accused of murder. The man responsible for those killings had committed suicide, but police in El Paso, Colorado wanted someone to pay. This is Vanessa's story of triumph over tragedy.
I was charged with first-degree murder for a crime I didn't commit. What had happened is I met someone 24 hours before the crime happened. And the following day, I was with my best friend in the car. We had driven around all day. All throughout the day, I let him drive my car. I would let him drive, and he would get out for like 15 minutes, 20 minutes, come back. We'd go to another place.
Okay.
That continued throughout the day. Towards the end of the night, like around 9 o'clock, I was getting ready to take him home. I was tired. I was like, I'm going to go drop you off. He's like, okay, that's fine. He's like, but can we make one more stop? I said, sure. So he directed me where to go because I had taken over driving at that point because he had popped my tire, didn't know how to change it, so I ended up changing it. And I was just frustrated over the day.
Okay.
He directs me to where to go. It's through this neighborhood and then back behind like industrial type buildings. He gets out like he did all day. Left for like 15, 20 minutes, and then he was taking a while. I was tired, so I called him. He didn't answer, but he called me back, and I was like, are you ready? I'm ready to go. And he's like, yeah, just pick me up on the street that you turned in off of. So I was like, okay. So I back out from where I am, go out to the street, and I see him coming up. He gets in my car, and he says, okay, thank you. And he's like, you can take me back, and I drove him back to where he was staying. Come to find out, about 2.5 weeks later, the cops show up at my house with a warrant. And with SWAT, they search my house. They start to question me. I didn't know what it was about. And then they showed me the picture of where my car was parked because where he had me parked was right under a camera.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah. They only had him getting out of the car. They initially thought it was my husband because my husband kind of fit the description, black male, tall. I said, no, that's not my husband. This is Kyrie Howard Walker.
Okay.
They had known him from the news, from police activity from the weekend before because him and his girlfriend went on a shooting spree in the town I live in and ended up killing 2 people and like shooting 3 more.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Well, they tracked him down to a house for those crimes, and when they tracked him, had the house surrounded, he took his life in the bathroom.
Oh my God.
Yes. So I told him when the cops came and questioned me, I was like, "That's not my husband. This is Kyrie Howard Walker." I think they thought I was just throwing a name out there because it was in the news. But
Right.
they kind of looked at me like, "Yeah, right."
Okay.
I said, "No, this is him." They took me downtown to the police station, questioned me. I thought I was helping because this guy was the one guilty of these crimes. They said after like an hour and a half interview, they said, "Okay, thank you. Um, we'll keep in touch," and that was it. I didn't hear anything for 6 months.
Oh my God.
Yeah, 6 months later, they come to my house. I wasn't home at the time, and they showed up with a warrant for first-degree murder.
That is crazy.
Yes, crazy, absolutely. I thought it was absolutely crazy, like you say, and I turned myself in. I got my family together. I knew like it would take a minute to figure this out, but I wanted to do what was right. So I said goodbye to my family and turned myself in.
Okay.
So then we start the whole process in jail. I went through. By the time I went to trial, I was on my 5th and 6th public defender.
Oh my! What was happening with the public defenders?
They just kept leaving the office. The first one was a guy. I don't even remember his name. He was with me for a short time. He moved on to his own practice.
Okay.
Then the next one, who I was with for quite a while, she ended up leaving the office to pursue becoming a judge.
Okay.
Then another one who was with me, she moved out of state. By the time I went to trial, 2 months before I went to trial, I got my 4th and 5th public defenders. They didn't have time to go over the case. We had already had trials set. They didn't have time to go over discovery with me, and we took it to trial and ended up losing.
Were you in custody?
I was in custody the whole time for 17 months.
Okay.
The judge in my case, he is notoriously biased and racist. I'm Hispanic. My husband is Black. My families were there the whole time. It was obvious, like, we, you know. He denied me bail, which my lawyers warned me, because this judge is notoriously racist and biased. He's not going to issue you bond. Even though I turned myself in, my business that I own was in the Springs. My whole family was in the Springs. He still did it.
Right.
So this was during COVID, because I turned myself in August 24th of 2020.
Okay.
And because of COVID, everything kept getting pushed out. Okay. I had trial. The first trial date was set for July. Well, my second lawyer had quit about that time, so we couldn't go to trial. The next trial was set for the end of October. And that was with the trial lawyers that I actually went to trial with. Okay. It was like a week and a half trial. Throughout this process, the judge kept denying anything we asked for. Yep. Saying yes to anything the prosecution wanted. Right. We didn't have a fair shot. He didn't give us a chance. Come trial, after a week and a half, I was found guilty.
That's what a lot of people don't understand, that you can't do you can't commit some of these crimes against people without the judges. The judges are critical to that. And so everything you're describing is everything I have personally gone through, and I have personally researched and saw that this is the game. The game is, you don't know what evidence is against you, but you know you didn't do it. You know there's no proof that you did it. You have all these attorneys that fail to give you an adequate defense, and and then you have the prosecutors that refuse to drop bogus charges, and you have a judge that's willing to look the other way and willing to participate in violating your rights. So that is like the trifecta of the quadruple, whammy that works all together to make sure people are being wrongfully convicted.
Absolutely.
In almost every case I've researched, that has been the pattern. All of these things work together to violate people's rights. And so the first issue was you never got out of your car. They can't even put you inside so what happened to the person who you were charged with murdering or convicted of murdering? What do you know what happened in the situation?
I know is from what they brought out at trial. It looked like this is what the prosecution claimed happened, that the guy was giving a ride to decided to rob the store.
Okay.
I don't know if that's accurate or not. He didn't touch the cash register. He didn't take it was a head shop. He didn't take any of the product. There was a envelope in the back room where the murder happened with like $700 and something in it that he never touched.
Oh, wow.
I do know that there was a bag of heroin found under the victim.
Uh-huh.
I don't know if it was a drug deal gone bad or an actual robbery.
Okay.
Somehow, Henry, who committed the murder, got to the room with the employee.
Okay.
There was obviously a scuffle of some sort because the room was in disarray.
Okay.
And he was murdered. Sometime during this point of this happening, a customer came into the store.
Oh my God.
And and I think the murder had already happened. This is what they're assuming because Kyrie came out acting like he was the employee. And he's like, we're closed. And the guy's like, well, it says you were open till this time. He's like, yeah, sorry, we're closed. And then the guy left.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Oh my God. That could have been another victim. Oh my goodness.
Right.
And so, oh my God. So have you ever seen your complete discovery package, Vanessa?
I don't personally have it. I tried to get it when I was sentenced to prison. However, my public defender said I wasn't allowed to have it in prison. I just know what I had gone over with my second lawyer during an investigator during the course of.
So you've never seen that entire discovery package
No, I haven't.
So you don't really even know. So what did you get convicted of? This is so crazy. What did you get convicted of?
Convicted of first degree murder. First degree felony murder.
And this is so was the prosecutor claiming that someone saw you go into the store and commit this murder?
No, they had no one who said there was no one like to testify against me. They took my phone. They had all my phone records and Facebook records. There was no conversation of an attempt to like, yeah, let's commit this robbery. Let's do this. They know I wasn't in the store. They know I never handled the gun.
Uh-huh.
Their claim was that I was part of the robbery.
So you conspired, they claim.
Yes,
you conspired.
I was complicit in the robbery.
And so when you were making these trips all day with him, what was he doing? What were those trips about?
Honestly, don't know. I can assume that I know he was a drug dealer.
Okay.
So I don't know. I honestly think that most of it was that he was doing drug deals.
Okay.
But I never got out of the car with him, so I never really saw the people that he got out to meet or the places he got out to go. I stayed in the car with my best friend that day.
Okay. And so was your best friend friends with him? I mean, how did you all come in contact?
She actually had known him before me. A friend of mine introduced me to him. His name was Damien, and he introduced me to Kyrie. Mm-hmm. And so that's honestly how I met him.
Okay.
And the crime happened, I believe it was February 12th. And I met Kyrie February 11th for the first time.
Oh, wow. Oh, that is incredible. And so, and so you meet him for the first time. You're riding around with him all day. He's making different stops. And what were you doing in the car during this time? What were y'all? What was the incentive for you all to go?
So, to be honest, at that point, I was using drugs.
Okay.
Me and my friend were just, we spent most of our time in the car. We hung out. We worked together, but we also hung out together.
Okay.
So we were just along for the ride, honestly.
Okay, I got you. And so he was making sure you all stayed supplied while he used your car. Okay.
Correct.
And this is very common. This is a very common thing. And so, and I know the police know that. Police know, how long have you been clean, or are you clean at this point?
Yes, I'm clean. I've been clean for almost 6 years now.
Oh, that is fantastic. Good for you.
Yes.
So a part of this journey for you was no longer allowing yourself to be a part of any type of drug culture or drug situations. Yeah.
Absolutely.
So when you were convicted, how long did they say they wanted you to serve? How long were you sentenced to?
My sentence was life without. And in the state of Colorado, that is till it's your natural life. It's until you die.
Oh my God. I'm just, with no evidence?
With no evidence.
With no evidence outside of where her car was there. This is crazy. Right. This is crazy from up. So I guess their thing was, well, we don't have somebody to send to jail since he killed himself. So we're going to just go back, and anybody that was in his circle is going to start getting charged. Were other people charged as well?
I was the only one charged. My best friend was never charged. They questioned her. Because she wasn't driving, and she told them she was getting high. They left her alone and came after me. But you're absolutely right. So when I went back to trial the second time, I had a different DA. But my first DA in my first trial actually told my lawyers, we know she didn't commit this murder. The guy who did is gone, and we need someone to pay.
Right. Because that's what that sounds like.
Yes.
That is what that sounds like. So they're not really interested in justice. They're interested in revenge, and they don't care who. They don't really care who might be
100%.
Right. And so, did you call witnesses on your behalf when you went to trial? Either one of those times?
So the first time, I wanted to call my best friend, Sydney, who was in the car with me the whole time, because she knew that anytime I was with this guy, she was there. She was there for the entire day.
Okay.
And the guy, Damien, who introduced me, I wanted to call because he was closer with this guy, and he knew all about him. He actually, after this happened, he warned me. He's like, I don't think you should be hanging around him. I'm like, okay, why, he's like, I just don't do it. He's not a good guy. And so I wanted to call Sydney, and we had her on the witness list, but my lawyers decided last minute not to do it.
No. This is another thing. Thing. People who can corroborate your story are not called. They're just not put before the jury. So what was the makeup of your jury that first time?
It was when they say it's a jury of your peers, I do not agree with that at all. I did not feel good about any of the jury members. There were people on my jury who fell asleep during critical testimony.
My God.
People on my jury who were on their phones multiple times, on social media.
Oh my God.
There was, we found out one of the jurors had lied about serving on a jury trial for a murder conviction before. It was crazy.
Oh my
I did not. And I honestly, in the first jury, I didn't have a say so in the jury. They didn't ask me nothing. They didn't ask me how I felt about it. It was they picked them, and that was it.
So at the jury selection, you're supposed to get 6 picks, and the prosecutor gets 6 picks.
Right.
So your attorney never asked for your input at all when it came to select.
Not the first time, no.
Okay, ugh, this is crazy. And then the second time, tell me what. And how long did it take you to get a second trial?
So I got a second trial. It was January of this year. So I was officially I won my appeal in June of 24.
Okay.
No, yes, 24. The prosecution, of course, wanted to fight it, so we had to send it to the Supreme Court.
Okay.
We sent it to the Supreme Court, and they upheld it, and it was official that they remanded my sentence in April of 25. Okay. So we were starting to prepare for trial. However, my first judge would have still been my trial judge in the second one. But
okay.
we knew he was retiring in September of last year. So we pushed things out so he couldn't preside over it.
Awesome. Okay.
So in January of this year, 2026, I went back to trial.
Okay. And tell me how this trial was different. Well, let's go back. What was your appeal based on? What was the granting of the appeal, the approval?
So the approval was for several reasons, and all 3 judges agreed for several reasons. A lot of it was errors made by the judge. He allowed stuff that should have never been in. He allowed interviews from the police where I was not Mirandized. He allowed the prosecution to compare me and Kyrie to Bonnie and Clyde.
Trying to make it seem like you all had an intimate relationship and you all were just going crazy, murdering people.
Right, committing all these crimes. He gave faulty jury instructions. So a lot of it was based on him. Okay,
so it was judicial misconduct.
Yes.
Okay. I'm surprised they didn't bring in a prosecutor, because it's the prosecutor who's attempting to do all that stuff, but they're saying the judge was supposed to shut it down and make sure it was fair.
Correct.
Okay. Yeah.
Well, and then on certain I remember in my appeal that the Bonnie and Clyde comment, my lawyer should have objected to that, and they never did.
Right. Yeah. So when you went to trial the second time, give me all the details.
So when I went, I spent every day in prison thinking of everything I should have said, everything I should have done.
Yeah.
Why wasn't this done? This was wrong. So I determined if I ever got a trial again, I was going to speak up for myself. I didn't speak up for myself the first time because I thought my lawyers knew what they were doing.
Right.
I thought they're the ones getting paid to be the lawyers, so I should trust that system.
Yeah.
But this second time around, I advocated for myself. I told them every single thing that went wrong in the trial, every single thing I didn't agree with, every single thing I wanted them to do different this time.
Yes.
And they listened.
Yes.
Honestly, I had the same trial lawyers that I had the first time around.
Really?
They came to me. I did.
Okay.
And they told me that was my option. But they came to me and to my family, and they apologized profusely about the outcome of my first trial.
Wow.
They said, we take responsibility for this. To say that this case haunts my career is an understatement. And I had 2 lawyers. I was really close with the lady lawyer. Her name's Amelia. She fought and fought and fought, and she told my family, because they met with her, because my family didn't want to have them again. They wanted to go out and hire a paid attorney. However, that was going to be just the retainer was $50,000.
I know. I Trust
Yeah.
me, we went through it. Yeah.
And after talking with my lawyers and seeing how they took it so personally and how hard that they were fighting this time, I told my family, I was like, I believe in them, and I believe it. My whole thing through this whole time was I believe in God.
Right.
I didn't put my faith in my attorney. I put my faith in God. He knew my heart and he knew the truth. And I always felt like he was going to bring justice for me.
Yes. Yes.
And so we decided to stick with my same attorneys. And from the first thing we got where we won the appeal just at the state level, they started working on my case again. And I had incredible paralegals and investigators on my team, and they went over every inch of that discovery and every inch of the evidence, and they just fought and fought and fought, and they listened to me, and they did what I asked and what I wanted this time. When it came to jury selection, I was just as much part of it as they were. There were a couple jurors, they were like, we don't know about this one. What do you think? I said, I don't want that one. I want this one. And they made it happen.
Did they help you craft the questions for the jury questionnaire? Were you a part of that process?
I was a part of it. The lawyer came up with the questions, and then she had me approve them. So whatever I wanted and whatever I thought I needed to change, she was willing.
And what kind of questions were you able to ask the jurors?
So there were so many questions. So a lot of it they wanted to portray. In the first trial, they portrayed me as a cheater. So they wanted to make sure that there was no bias towards that with the jurors the second time. They wanted to drill in the point that just because I'm with someone who committed a crime doesn't mean I was guilty. We asked questions about how they felt about people who use drugs. Are they automatically criminals? So many questions like that. And
most people are not aware that they are supposed to be participating in the selection of their jury. They're supposed to be helping to select the people who are going to be judging them. And so I'm so glad that you had a chance to know what happens when you don't participate and what happens when you do participate, because that's so important that people know, like, this is a part of your constitutional obligation and right to make sure that you have a jury of your peers. And so what was the composition of your jury on that second trial?
Oh, so much better. It was a mixture of men and women. I felt like they were more my age. They were more like, I live in Colorado Springs, and it's a very conservative town. I feel like on the first one there were a lot of retired military. There were some teachers, and there were lawyers, and the second one around there were homemakers, and they were more middle class people.
Got you. So it was a better reflection of you, your background, and your life experience.
Correct.
Yes. Okay. All right. That's beautiful. So what happened? What happened during that trial?
So during the trial, we got my friend Sydney. She testified.
Okay. Fantastic.
I had like I said, the DA changed, and she was a tough DA. She tried her hardest to be unfair. However, we did get a judge who was completely fair, so much better than the last judge. He went by the book. he didn't just allow the prosecution whatever they wanted. And my lawyer spoke up when something wasn't right, when something was against my rights or against the law. They spoke up, and if the judge agreed, he agreed. And so it was just from day one, I just felt, wow, this is such a completely different experience. We went in for a motions hearing, and I was always used to our motions getting denied. And I heard the judge approve it, and I was like, wait, what just happened? He actually approved it? Like, and that was my first, like, okay, this might be a good deal.
Right.
And the trial lasted almost 3 weeks. Well, the actual trial itself lasted about 2 weeks.
Okay.
And then they deliberated for about a week.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. So what was that? What did they say was taking them so long?
So there was different issues that arose with the jurors. So one of them got sick.
Okay.
And then another one had like doctor's appointments. There were just different issues that they asked us, do we want to switch out jurors? And me and my lawyers agreed, like, we were happy with the jurors, so we wanted to keep on. So if that meant prolonging the verdict, we were willing to do that.
Okay. So you felt good with the initial jurors who were selected. So you had an opportunity to just give them time. Was the jury impaneled the whole time? Did everybody have to show up, or were people allowed to kind of go home and go back to work until they could reconvene again?
No, they were there the whole time.
Okay. And so what was the verdict?
Not guilty on first-degree murder.
Yes. That makes much more sense. That makes so much more sense. Like it's crazy that it's crazy that your experience mirrors so many other people's when it comes to these wrongful convictions. It's like all of these things have to be working together for people to be wrongfully convicted. And then if you just start with a fair judge, you won't have any of it most of the time.
I believe that 100%. Had my judge been different, had he been the second judge I got, I don't think I ever would have been convicted. But I also believe, like, throughout this process, like, people need to learn how to advocate for themselves.
Yes, that part.
And I trusted in the system. I was naive, and my family trusted in the system. And we're like, there's no way that they can find me guilty of this. Anyone who knows me knows I could never be a part of something like that.
Right.
And we trusted in the system, and we were wrong to do that. But it's opened our eyes to so many things now.
Right.
And I am currently going to school to get my paralegal degree because I want to go back and fight for those who don't know how to advocate for themselves.
I love that. Were you doing your own law work while you were in prison, Vanessa?
I did a lot of it. To be honest, the most I learned about trials and rights and avenues to pursue was from other inmates. I didn't learn it from my lawyers. I didn't learn it from the officers. I learned it from other people who had been in the system and who learned.
Right. So that was something that we also experienced on our end with my loved one, and what was happening with the cases in Atlanta is people were waiting years to go to trial. People waiting years to go to trial. And one young man who was in custody with my loved one, he literally had been there almost 4 years when he met my loved one, and he had so much faith and so much confidence in his ability to like get the jury and get the either the cases thrown out or the jury to acquit him. And so when he connected with my loved one, I immediately connected with him because he broke a depression that my loved one was going through. At 17 years old, my loved one was arrested and charged with with false sex crimes, he was looking at 90 years.
Wow.
And so we wound up, I had the benefit of not only him being in this place with all of these people with really serious charges, but I was also led to become an investigative journalist. And so within 6 weeks of his arrest, within 6 months of his arrest, I became an investigative journalist, but I had already started investigating. And one of the first things I learned is get your discovery package.
Yeah.
Get your discovery package. And so we had paid attorneys at first. And so one of the first paid attorneys we had wanted an additional $30,000 for my loved one's defense. And we were like, well, let's talk about it, but let's get the discovery package first. We need a copy of that discovery package. And so once he gave us that discovery package, we fired him immediately because they weren't listening. Like none of the lawyers listened. And so we were telling him, look, this girl has to be lying because we knew certain things that were being thrown around as truthful when it wasn't. We knew that it wasn't. And so when we got that discovery package, Vanessa, when I tell you it was like 1,000-pound weight was lifted off me because we saw the interviews, we saw the body cam footage, we saw my loved one over 2 miles away on camera when the alleged events happened. So we knew that they weren't telling the truth, but we couldn't figure out why were they ignoring what they knew. It was just so bizarre. So, we've lived in the city for over 20 years. We had no idea that there is a corrupt element inside of the DA's office and the police departments and even the judicial system. We had no idea. So for us, when I became an investigative journalist and I was put on the crime story, and I decided to cover murders because my loved one was in there with a lot of people who were being charged with murder. And so I'm looking over these murder cases. I'm seeing that people's murder charges are being dropped. People mysteriously, some people being charged with murder in there aren't listed in the list of murders that I was given. And it was, I'm telling you, Vanessa, it was just like, what in the world is going on here?
Yeah.
Then I was seeing people that were like getting life for a fight that resulted in a murder, or somebody shot a person twice, shot two family members and killed them at a barbecue and got like 10 years. I mean, I'm telling you, it was like, what is happening? It is
crazy.
What's really going
on?
on?
Throughout my time in prison, I met girls who I shared my story with anyone who wanted to hear it, and I've had girls come up to me and be like, I actually pulled the trigger and I have less time than you.
Right. I'm telling you, it's a level of evil that most people are listening to the news. Oh, this person was charged and convicted. Most people are listening to the news. They have no idea the level of corruption, the level of unfairness that is baked into the system. And so for you to say, all of these elements came together and caused me to be wrongfully convicted, but I had faith in God. I'm telling you, Vanessa, I've seen that be the number one thing. The number one thing. If you give up, if you emotionally and psychologically and spiritually get defeated by these people, they will do you any way they want to.
Absolutely.
So I'm so happy that you're willing to share your story. I'm so happy that you're home with your family. Are they going to pay you at all for the wrongful conviction?
So I am currently in the process of that. I'm going to be talking to a lawyer and seeing what my options are and how to pursue that.
Okay, so you're considered. I know in Georgia you have to be exonerated. You got to get some type of ruling from a judge that you were exonerated. And you're in Colorado. In your case, is that something that they require you to do?
I am not aware of that.
Okay.
No.
Okay. These states have their own hodgepodge of how they handle, wrongful convictions and exoneration cases. What was it like for you to hear the jury say not guilty?
It was the best feeling in the world. It literally took the breath out of me. It was just, I was hopeful, but to actually hear those words, not guilty, was amazing. It was something I had hoped and prayed for every single day of my life for 6 years.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
What was prison like for you? What was that experience? I know the women's prison is nowhere near as rough as the men, but
No, definitely not. And prison, I mean, there was good and bad. Like, I chose to just take every day as a learning experience. I use that time to get closer to God, to work on myself. I got my GED. I started college. Awesome. I actually became the inmate rep for the girls in my prison. So where they got write-ups, I would be like their defender in there.
Wow.
Yeah. So I just chose to keep moving. It was, of course, prison's hard. I had a great support system. My family came up every single weekend. I had called. I had friends who stuck by me through this whole thing, who never, left me. The prison life itself is not great. I mean, you're told what to do, when to do. You learn to just choke down your emotions, not have emotions. You lose all kind of dignity. That part was hard, but I survived. And like I said, it's all because of God and my family. Yeah, for sure. For sure. So did they allow you, once you got that not guilty verdict, were you allowed to walk out the courthouse? I always wonder about it. No, it was not. Okay. I had to go back to the jail and do the whole process of being released. Okay, yeah. Being released. Okay, so it is a bit of a process. How long did it take? Really? So from the time I was found not guilty, I actually spent another month and a half in jail. Oh no! No. Hey. Well, because during the first trial and the second trial, I was only ever charged with first-degree murder. Okay. During the first trial, we figured out after the trial, questioning the jurors, they didn't want to find me guilty of first-degree murder. Oh, wow. They were like, is there something else we can choose? But there was nothing else. So this time around, my lawyers tactically talked to me about putting on an accessory to a crime charge. Okay. Something that I would, no matter, even if I was found guilty and given the highest sentence, I had already served. Right. Okay. And so we decided to do that. They ended up finding me guilty of the accessory charge. Okay. So I had to sit in jail to just get sentenced on that. And then once they sentenced me, I was released. Okay. I'm currently fighting that conviction as well. I'm in the appeal process for that because there's some things that I don't think should have been brought up or instructed the way it was. Right. So we're actually fighting that one. Okay. So you filed an appeal immediately. Yes. And what I will tell anyone is when you have the chance to get out, you're jumping at it. I've seen it. We went through it. In my loved one's case, they told him if he took the plea, he would go home he would go home that day. He was home within 24 hours. And so, yeah. Well, that was so the second time around when I won my appeal, I told my lawyers, I was like, I was scared to go back to trial. I didn't want to do it again. I already had 6 years in, I was during my first trial, the best deal they gave me was like 15 years.
Okay.
I told my lawyers, if they give me that deal again, I'll take it. Like, I already have 6 years in. I wouldn't have to do much more with good time and all that.
Yeah.
And so we tried to negotiate. The new DA refused to come lower than 25 years.
Oh, wow.
I mean, we went back and forth, and she would refuse to come below 25 years. I said, okay, I'll take it again. Let's go to trial. And I'm so glad. I prayed to God. I said, I gave him a number. I was like, Lord, if you don't get it below this number, then I'll take it back to trial. But if you want me to sit in here and do more, then get it below this number. And 25 was my number, and I refused to go 20 was my number. I refused to go higher than 20, and it was 25. So I took it back to trial, and I'm so glad I did.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. I understand it. I understand it, and people kind of, people can be judgmental about it. I know I used to be judgmental about it. Well, if you didn't do it, why are you pleading guilty?
Right.
That being away from your family in horrific conditions, day after day after day after day after day, is its own torture. It is its own incentive for people to just say, I just want this over with. Can you just, let's just do what we need to do to get this over with. And so that's a part of the reason why the Constitution is so important, because that is not supposed to be happening. People are not supposed to be wrongfully convicted. People are not supposed to be sitting over a year in jail waiting for trial. It's just, it's such a twisted system. Part of the reason that I wrote my book is I told God, like, if you bring my baby home in one piece, with his mind and his soul intact and his physical everything intact, I would share everything that I've learned about what is happening to people behind bars. I'm going to share everything I learned. And so I knew a part of that was for him to not be convicted. There's no way. I already knew that. Like, once we knew what the person was, his accuser was saying, and we knew that it was a lie, and then we were able to get the evidence, and DNA exonerated him. And so we had all these things in place. I knew that if they could do that in a case where this person's on camera, the victim is a proven liar on body cam, DNA has exonerated this person, but they're still refusing to drop the charges. I was like, you know what, God, you put me on assignment, and I am going to fulfill this assignment. So thank you so much, Vanessa, for being willing to tell your story. There's so many people, once they get out, they've been through so much trauma, they don't want to talk about it.
Yeah. Well, I made the same promise to God. If he would get me out, I would share my story, and I do whatever I could to help those who are wrongfully convicted or their time doesn't match their crime, because there's a lot of that going on as well. So I'm happy to share, and I'm happy to help in any way I can.
Yeah, for sure. Is there anything that you want to leave the listener with, that you want them to know before we close out?
I would just say, if you have loved ones in there, or if you are in there yourself, like, just never stop fighting. There's always hope. Advocate for yourselves. Don't trust in the system, because the system will fail you. Just hold on to that hope and never stop fighting.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Vanessa. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for taking the time to listen to this episode of the Above Par podcast. I hope you were inspired. I hope you were motivated to take a closer look at what is happening in our judicial system. It is a tragedy on so many levels for many different people. And so I hope that we have an opportunity to work together to bring about better conditions, not only for people who are being falsely accused, but for those who are perhaps guilty of what they did, but are suffering in horrible, deplorable conditions that are definitely considered cruel and unusual punishment. So I hope this episode of the Above Par podcast has motivated you in some way to make a difference when it comes to these issues. Thank you so much for listening. My new books are out and they detail my experience as an investigative journalist and what you need to know to beat false allegations in a criminal case. Know Your Case to Win Your Case gives you the most important info you need to win your case. This is going to detail discovery packages, which are the evidence that the state has against you. It gives you details about filing lawsuits against the parties who are violating your rights, and it tells you the deadlines for the important milestones in your case. The next installment is legal loopholes in criminal law. This breaks down what you need to put in your filings, the laws, the statutes, the cases that make your motion stick. It is full of templates that give you a step-by-step breakdown of what your motions need to contain so that you can stand in your authority. And then the Pro Se Guide to Success is a combination of both of these books. This is something you would need to invest in if you have numerous violations from law enforcement, the judicial system, and the prosecutors that are involved. It's also a perfect guidebook if you are being denied bond when you are eligible for that. So please go on to Amazon, order you a copy, make sure you leave a review, and thank you for supporting the podcast and supporting yourself and standing in your authority.